Oh my God. I just saw my life flash before my eyes up there. I'm not dead, am I, JB? You would tell me if I were dead, aren't you? That's unbelievable. Thank you for anybody who made up those lies. I really appreciate it. It's unbelievable to be here. It really is. I've started, and in the room tonight are the people who made it happen. And for me, this is not about me. This is about the people that I get a chance to thank and be here tonight. I'm going to start with Ross Greenberg, who you saw up there. For some reason, he decided that I had some talent, or I did interviews or whatever. And despite the fact that he was the first guy to ever hire me, they still put him in the Hall of Fame last year. I was happy about that. But Rick Bernstein called me 2 days after I got cut by the Cincinnati Bengals. And he said, Chris, this is Rick Bernstein from Inside the NFL. We'd really like to have you work for Inside the NFL. And I said, really? I go, yeah. I said, what would I do? He said, we want you to do features. I said, okay, feature. I said, how much does it pay? And he said, $50,000. I was like, $50,000? I said, I'm in. I'm definitely in. Just one question. What's a feature? Absolutely. So it just all started from there for me. I got an opportunity, and then I met Dick Ebersol. And I don't know if anybody else has anybody in their life like I have Dick Ebersol. Where is Dick? He showed up tonight. Can you please stand up? Please stand up. That dude changed my life right there. I am just going to tell you, I gave him every reason to fire me that you can possibly imagine. I deeply offended 2 NFL commissioners, not 1, but 2. As he was negotiating the Notre Dame contracts for NBC, I offended Notre Dame. One time, I even offended the Cleveland Indians in a football game. I don't know how I did that. Through it all, Dick absolutely refused to fire me. Until there was one day at the Olympics. I was doing the track and field. You saw one of my highlight moments from the track and field, another one of those great interviews that I got a chance to do. So I didn't want to screw up another one during the course of those Olympics. I was a sideline reporter down there. And it came down to, there was a guy named Donovan Bailey from Canada who won the 100 meters. Donovan Bailey comes through and he does his victory lap. He comes back around through the little thing where all of our sideline reporters were. We're the first one because we're the host country in Atlanta. And I can tell when Donovan Bailey makes the turn, he is not going to stop for me or my interview. Doesn't matter. I played football. I grabbed that sucker by the neck. I had Donovan Bailey right here. I fired 2 questions in him, released him, let him go on to everybody else. It was a perfect moment. Next day, I got a call and said, Mr. Ebersol needs to see you in his office. I said, okay. And so I go walking in and I said, and Dick goes, do you know where I've been all day? I said, no, sir. He said, I've been with the International Olympic Committee. You know what I was talking about? No, sir. I was talking about you. He said, have you ever heard the rule that the host country does not get the interviews? It is the people, it is whoever's athlete wins the gold medal gets to do the first interview. And because he's from Canada, we're in competing networks and competing different things. Do you understand what turmoil, what problems you have caused for me today? I have been in a fight my entire life. And today is probably the worst of those moments that I've ever had. He said, did you know that rule? And I said, yeah, I probably heard that rule. And he said, listen to me. Don't ever, 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 ever do that again. Ever. Right? Yes, sir. So he gets up and he's going to walk me out to the door and he said, just one more thing. That was a hell of a job last night. That's when he became my man right there. That's when he was mine. I have to, Jim, I don't know if this happens to you or not. The number one, I got to tell you what my life is like to some extent. The number one question, I know it doesn't happen to Tony Romo. I know it doesn't. The number one question that I get every single place that I go is exactly the same. Why do you hate the fill in the blank? Whatever their favorite team is, why do you hate that team, right? They think in Cincinnati, I hate the Cincinnati Bengals. And I try to explain, I don't hate your team, I really don't. It's my job, I'm the analyst, I have to critique their performance, I have to figure out, what all they're doing. And that. I don't hate them, right? I don't hate them. So one day, we're getting ready to do the Super Bowl. You get a little amped up, right? Before the game, night before, I've got my wife and kids, and we're out to dinner, and we're coming out, and we're leaving this dinner out there, and it comes across there, and there's a table right there at the end of the table. And there's nothing but Giants fans who are charming individuals. They really are. And it comes out. And so I'm walking by, and this guy turns around, and he says, "Hey, Collinsworth." Oh, hell, I know what's coming now, right? "Hey, Collinsworth, tell me why you hate the Giants." And I've never done this before. Just this one time, I looked at him, I was walking by, I said, "Oh, no, I just hate them." Boom, right out the door. Right out the door. Never felt so great about anything in my entire life. I did tell one fib. It's not the most asked question that I get. The number one question that I've gotten my entire life is, how the hell did you get Holly to marry you? Howie Long met Holly, looked at her, looked at me, looked at her, said, "You must have one hell of a rap, boy. You must have one hell of a rap." That's that Southern charm, you know what I mean? That's all it is. I do want to take a minute here to introduce my wife, Holly, who is, without question, if there's anybody in this room that knows both of us, and if there's anybody who has any question about who should be in the Hall of Fame, who's the most talented, who's the one that keeps it all on the rails, who's the love of my life, Miss Holly Collinsworth, would you mind just standing up? Quick introduction of my kids, Pat and Jared, my son-in-laws. I've got Katie, my first baby. I got a chance to see her in her first dance recital. I don't know, JB, you ever did a first dance recital? I never heard of a dance recital until I had a daughter. She had a big polka dot ribbon, and she had polka dot dress, and she did shuffle, step, hop. That's all I remember. As soon as she did it, I started crying. I didn't even know what it was. It was like the happiest day of my life. It was awesome. Austin, the captain of Notre Dame football team, running PFF now. Ashley Collinsworth out there, got into Harvard, completely changed my gene pool forever. That just changed everything. And Jack Collinsworth, I have no idea what he does. But again this morning, I get the, "Chris, I heard you're going in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations." But Jack has way more talent than you do. It's absolutely the truth. There's a gentleman I have to acknowledge, not here tonight, Mr. Tom Hammond. He taught me more about the X's and O's and the wonderful ways of television more than any human being out there. And Tom, if you guys could ever please put Tom Hammond in this Hall of Fame, I would be so eternally grateful. He is the best. Bob Costas, I love him. I never thought my life could get better than Al Michaels, Michelle Tafoya, and Fred Gaudelli. Honestly, as talented a human beings as has ever existed in this business. Al, yeah, he got me to tear up a little bit, saying they're best friends. That's unbelievable. So can't do it, but I've got to tell you, the group I'm with right now is with Mike and Rob and Melissa. They're just angels. I'm having so much fun dealing with those guys. We have so many of our people here from NBC, Mark Lazarus, Mike Cavanaugh, Rick Cordello, my new boss out there, Lee Snoonen, Greg, Dan, Benny Rayo, the newest member, going to be taking over the Tonight Show pretty soon, I think. Sam and Freddie and Rob and Drew and Molly and our cameraman, Dina, got in the Hall of Fame last year. Jeff's getting in the Hall of Fame this year. My best friends in the world, the Canoes, the Hudepols, Pomerantzes, Farleys, and Battaglias here. Steve Rosner, my friend and agent, and Andy Freeland, my partner in the booth forever and a day. I'll finish up by saying that I know when you get into the Hall of Fame, you're sort of at that 2-minute warning of your broadcast career, right? You begin to understand. And that's all right, because I've got a retirement plan. I'm going back to coach 3-year-old soccer again. It's the greatest thing that ever happened in my life. I absolutely adore it. I'll tell you one quick story. I was out there, and my kids all wanted to play soccer. I'd never played it, had no idea anything about it. I bought every video, I bought every book, I bought everything. And I quickly learned that soccer is simply about spacing. All you got to do is have enough space out there, space them out, spread them out, and everything will be good. So I teach my 3-year-olds about spacing. They drop the ball in the middle of the field. And if you've ever been around 3-year-old soccer, you probably know what happened from there. There are 10 kids on each kid that come right into the middle of the circle and start kicking each other in the shins, and the ball for 20 minutes never leaves the center circle. I then go on, and there's one moment, this little kid named Doug, I'll never forget who he was. He kicks the ball out of the circle, and I was like, hey, all right, Doug, go on with it. I said, kick it again, Doug, and Doug ran down out of the circle, and he kicked it again. And I'm like, Doug, that's it, go down to the goal, kick it down to the goal. And again, Doug kicked it again, down to the goal. And now it's getting exciting. The beehive's starting to chase Doug down the field, and the goalie's coming out of the goal. And it's going to be this massive moment in the history of 3-year-old soccer. And Doug wound up to kick the ball one more time, and he saw a flower. And Doug stopped it, looked at the flower. Goalie came out, he liked it. Referee looked at me and went, halftime. So these 3-year-olds come running over towards me, and Doug was the first one, and I pick up Doug, and I throw him up in the air and catch him and set him down. Now, if you're around 3-year-olds, you also know what happened next. I've got 15 3-year-olds, right? Yeah. I said, nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Tell you what, if any of you guys score a goal in the second half, I'll throw you up in the air. We won that game 11-0. One of the great coaching feats of all time. And tonight I want to throw all of you up in the air and say thank you very much. You mean so much.